wakey.
Welcome back to I'll Make a Stay Out of You, the podcast where I, Phil, talk to my friend Tom.
That's me.
And we learn to love Stray Kids and K-pop in general through watching Stray Kids. Currently, we're watching the Stray Kids Survival Show, and we are on episode 9. That means there's only one episode left. We just finished it. If you haven't heard it yet, go watch it on StrayKSubs.com. And if you want, you can even listen along with our listen-along episode. Watch-along episode.
Watch-along. Listen
whatever
along.
We're calling it. Watch-along, listen-along. You know, you listen, you watch at the same time because it's a visual show. You know, it's straight, the Stray Kids Survival Show is not a podcast. So.
Right.
Anyway, so we just got done watching the episode. A lot of things happened that I thought happened in the next episode. So interesting. What was your general sense of the episode overall? It was a lot.
Okay, well, I don't want to get too into the end right away, but wow, what a man! Just out of nowhere, it seems they're bringing Felix and Minho back, right? But which is awesome. But early on in the episode, I was enjoying like how they were kind of doing it, where they were doing like a little mini showcase of each person, in following the last challenge that they did and like what is going on in their lives at this point. And so that was nice. They didn't do it for everybody, but they did like quite a few people. They would just talk about them and show like meeting with their like vocal coaches and stuff like that. And I thought that was nice. It was good to see that, especially when Chan got visited by Bam Bam and they had a nice little lunch or whatever,
that was nice. Maybe it was a lot of maybe it was just a snack. I don't know. We have no sense of time, and we know that Chan works from 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. So it could be any time in there.
Yeah, it's.
I think the sun was up, so that's pretty helpful.
But getting visited. By I think you were about to say like a lot of GOT7 members came into the show today to kind of help the kids along, which is really cool. For them to be able to do like as not necessarily like industry experts, but as people that are in the industry to come and give them a little piece of advice, is really helpful to them as well. So that's really cool.
Yeah, it was pretty great. As Tom was saying, the episode kind of starts off. They review the elimination of Felix. We were pretty concerned that we were going to get another Minho episode.
Where they would waterworks.
Where they would just like talk about, oh man, isn't it so sad? And still like it starts. The episode starts with JYP coming in and talking to them about their final challenge in a practice room, and then they start practicing and they're like trying to figure out their dance and everything. I guess I should mention their final challenge is going to be a live show where there's going to be audience voting involved as they make the final decision on who the members will be, which makes a lot more sense once we know what happens at the end of the episode. But so they're really showing initially that like they're struggling at this moment to like try and get the positioning right with two members missing. And they got the sense after Minho left, it was like that too, like where like they were just like, oh man, like there's this like gap missing and it feels weird. We've been 9 this whole time and it feels weird to have somebody not there. And then to go from that down and like I had felt like as an 8, it felt a little strange too. It's just like, it seems they did fine, but it feels strange and a little off. And like clearly in the practice room with 7, it felt even weirder. Like everybody felt weird. Chan got confused at least like 2 times during this episode, being like, where is everybody? We're missing people. And then people had to be like, no, we're not. It was a very like, you ever watch Scrubs?
Yeah.
It was like where do you think we are?
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And if you haven't watched Scrubs, that's a sad episode, so you don't have to watch it. It's fine.
Yeah. There are some sad moments in Scrubs, but I think it's an
excellent show.
Yeah, for sure.
Great was it 8 seasons? Yeah, good 8 seasons. There's no 9th season. so, they get practicing. They're trying to rearrange and distributing parts. And Chan is really trying to be a better leader. He's very critical of his leadership because they've lost members, and he feels responsible. Like, he could have done more. He was focusing a lot on the music and a lot of the things, but he wasn't focusing on individual members, or so he feels. And so he's really working hard to try and tighten up all the areas where they were lacking and got criticized on, because he feels like he needs to be bigger and better. And he's working on some music when in walks Bam Bam, as we discussed, and they go out to eat. I thought this conversation was pretty cute. It was fun because, like, anytime you really get somebody who knew Chan when he was like a kid, because he came there at 13 and now he's like an adult, it's always funny to me. And there's a lot of that in this show because, of course, he's younger. And it was pretty funny. I thought, with them talking about like sneaking out, and then they're like, "Oh no, we had permission to do that. We had permission to go out." And Sean's like, "I don't know. Oh, I guess if you say so." And it's like, I don't think they got permission. I think they just snuck out of the dorms and went and had fun at Han River. So,
yeah,
that's pretty funny.
Which totally understandable. I used to sneak out. Like I've definitely
of your dorm.
Well, I mean, when I was, living with my parents, like when I was that age, right? Yeah, I would sneak out, hang out with friends.
Is it? Yeah. I don't think I ever snuck out. I don't think that's a thing that ever happened for me. Yep. Just wasn't a thing I did. I don't know. But my parents were pretty chill about me going over to friends' houses and stuff, so it really didn't matter.
Yeah, well, it wasn't necessarily that I needed to sneak out. It was just that, like, when we decided that that's what we were going to do, it was way too late. Like, I'm not going to go in at like, midnight and be like, hey, I'm going to leave. It was just like we just did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So that it was good, and it helped make Chun feel very very comfortable with his role as a leader and as a potential K-pop star to debut, because his friend had done it ahead of him and encouraged him. So it was nice. Yeah. And then after that, so we start the grand. I wouldn't call it a training montage, but a training episode, because so much of it was involved. The first up was Sungmin, who, and I think we're hitting like all the people who got some kind of criticism at some point, right? Which Sungmin did, but I don't know. So he's having a one-on-one lesson with his vocal teacher. He shows his dedication to training by keeping a diary of every bit of training that he does every single day.
That's great. I mean, good for him, but like, Jesus Christ, I don't think I could do that.
There's no way I could do that. And I love that, like, it cuts to an interview with Jisung, and he's like, he's the only member of Stray Kids that's doing that. I was like, that's hilarious. Yeah. Like, at one point there was 9 members and not a single one of them was keeping a diary of what they were doing, even though clearly the instructor asks them to. It's
right. Funny. She even says, she's like, I'll be surprised if you have this, because I tell everyone to do it and nobody does it.
Yeah, but he did it. Yeah. So, and it paid dividends. I mean, like, his singing, it was beautiful. It was really crazy, and I feel like it hasn't really been showcased as much in the series. It's just because he hasn't been like a focus character. Like, nothing super dramatic has happened with him.
Yeah.
Other than crying. But like, and having Woojin there as your main vocal, then like he stands out, and then Jongin like stands out in his own way, because he's got this like lovely voice and he's cute, and so everyone's drawn to him. And so it's kind of like in the vocal team, he fills out the middle, right? Like he's right in the middle of that, and that's not necessarily the flashiest part, but like clearly he's showing his chops in this episode. Like, right. I thought that his singing was so good.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And next up was Woojin. Speaking of people singing
Yeah.
He got some pretty heavy criticism, and he talked about like his like sense of his own problems while singing is that he's like constantly thinking about being in tune and doing it correctly and stuff like that rather than singing.
Yeah.
He wants to make sure he didn't have a shaky tone.
Yeah.
So he starts drinking a shitload of water. Yeah, I don't know. Like, that is like, you know, like I don't know. It's such a silly thing where I'm just like, it reminds me of like other reality shows where like they go like, well, you're a guy. If you want to stand out, you got to have a thing. You got to have your thing that you do. Mm-hmm. And it's like, and he was like, oh, I'll drink water.
Well, he's got to drink water to keep.
He's got to drink water to
keep his vocal intact. Yeah. But yeah, I like how they did like it wasn't really like a montage, but it was just a lot of clips of him drinking water.
Yeah, a bunch of clips of him drinking water. And I don't know if you noticed, but like towards the end of the episode when they're recording the song, he has this water bottle there, and he totally is taking like big swigs of water from time to time.
Yeah.
He's still doing it. He's keeping it up the whole time. It's really funny.
That's his thing. So, he's got to drink water, which is surprising to me that it's water, because that's I mean, unless you get like a water brand, they're not really going heavy on the Coca-Cola, you know.
Well, I mean, when JYP came into the practice room, he was and giving them their mission, he was standing in front of a bunch of cans of Coca-Cola sitting on the wall. So like they fit it in. They made it. They
oh yeah, I mean there was the moment where they were like, yeah, we're gonna drink Coke right now, but like with how much water Woojin is drinking, I'm surprised they didn't try to make a Coke thing and be like, oh, you know what really helps Woojin's vocals? Coca-Cola. Nice and refreshing.
Maybe his problem was that he was only drinking Coca-Cola. That fucked up his voice.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. What did you... So I am curious about what you thought of his singing in his little practice room.
It was good. I'm glad to see that my earlier criticisms of Woojin are being like dispelled, essentially, you know, because and even the criticisms that JYP had in the last episode where he was like, I didn't know that you were the main vocalist, you know, which is like probably the shittiest thing you can hear, as like if you're the lead of something and someone's like, I didn't realize that you were in charge of this because like you're not very good at it. Like, holy shit. But
not good.
No, but I mean, and even when they went into the recording booth to do the songs, like even the guy Sewell J, I think his name was, was like
he has like a nickname which was One Take.
Oh yeah, One Take.
If I was still writing notes, which I haven't been, I would have totally written that down. I was like, One Take?
One Take. That's his name. But you know, he was like, yeah, we don't have to do anything else. You did it perfectly. Like first take, good to go.
Yeah, Woojin was the one who wanted to do more. But on his practice singing, the thing that stood out to me, right, is that like just before him, Seungmin went, and I'm listening to Seungmin, and I'm like, oh man, his pronunciation is so like perfect and sounds great. Woojin's pronunciation of English, which is all an English song, I was like, not so good. They were like whole phrases where I was like, is that what he just said? I'm like watching the lyrics going like, I did not hear him say that at all. 100%. Those were not the words he said.
I was thinking it sounded that too. Nice. Yeah, I was thinking that too, but I was thinking maybe he just sang the Korean like version of it, you know, and that's what I heard, because the subtitles on the screen are not what he said, so I don't know what happened there, but I mean, it all sounded nice, you know, which is I guess
it sounded
the
nice.
Point.
He had the right tone and everything, but like I'm sitting there watching the vocal coach, and I was like, oh, she's gonna be like, yeah, it's good, but you need to improve your pronunciation. But she didn't say anything, and I'm like, it's an Adam Levine song, right? Like we're not talking. This is not like a Korean song that has English in it. Like it's an Adam Levine song. Like there's a pronunciation. He can listen to the original pronunciation and make a determination on how he should say the words.
Right.
It did not happen, and he didn't get criticized for it. So whatever. They got their point across of what they were trying to get out of him, I guess.
Yeah.
But I did notice that, and I was like, oh, that's interesting, because
Yeah.
there are definitely some members that speak perfect English. I mean, we've got two people, well, one person who's Australian in the main group at this point of the episode.
Do Australians speak perfect English?
Perfect Australian English, mate.
Yeah.
G'day.
I was telling Callie, I think yesterday, that I like the way that she says bullshit, because I don't know, it sounds like boo shit. I just think it's funny. like I'm like, yeah, that's bullshit, and she's like, yeah, that's bullshit. Just, I don't know, it cracks me up every time. I'm not hating on Kelly. I like the way she pronounces things, but it's still, I don't know, it's funny to me.
Yeah, no, it's fun. So our next segment is about Hyunjin, who was dressed up in a yellow blazer with blue lining. Which, if you watch the watch-along, was very confusing for Tom. I knew what was happening because I've seen it before, but he was just like, what's happening?
Yeah.
I didn't notice. I probably didn't realize the first time through that his tie has like stars on it, and I'm like, is that in the uniform too, or is he just like a fun, night sky themed tie? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy, and he gets up. It's 4:30 a.m. and he heads to school.
Yeah,
and I think Sungmin mentions that they both still go to school. They're both still in school. But when Hyunjin leaves, it's way before him, and also like they don't get done practicing till like 2-3 in the morning.
Yeah, so when is this kid sleeping?
Yeah, when is he sleeping? I have no idea. Like, it's just ridiculous. So yeah, but he heads off. He takes the train, and then hits the bus, and then he's at school, and they follow him all the way. They do the whole trip with him, and he gets to class. He's the only one there because of course he is. Like, what? How early is it? And I was also, being American, right? I was entirely confused by this portion of it because I'm like, wait a minute, what? How was he able to go into school at like 6 a.m. or whatever, however, what time it was?
Because American schools, we lock all our shit up. Like,
yeah, all the doors are locked. You wouldn't be able to get in there. Like, I don't know. That seemed a little odd. But yep, he does that, and then he wants to work on his rap, and he gets some criticism from his rap teacher, who's basically just like, yeah, I don't know, man. Everything that they said was wrong is still wrong. Your vocalization and your pronunciation are both wrong. They're not working. We can't understand you. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ. That was a criticism he had in episode 1. And he like worked really hard to make it sound okay for a couple songs, but he obviously hasn't figured out the technique yet.
Yeah.
Until he met with the mentor, the man, the myth, the sexy
Changbin.
Yeah.
The sexy.
The sexy.
Yeah.
He like teaches him to yell. I don't know, like that was the lesson. And I thought it was pretty funny that he basically I'm trying to wrap my mind around the fact that like Hyunjin has been in lessons before the show, during the show, for rap lessons. Conceivably, he's met with this teacher before, been working on his rap constantly, day and night. You see him practicing. He's got a pencil in his mouth. He's trying to get his pronunciation, everything right. Mm-hmm. He met with, and maybe they just now I'm like, okay, either they had this meeting and it came to fruition. And they just caught it naturally because they're filming everything, which is a distinct possibility. But like, I watched a lot of reality TV because pandemics suck, and I had children, and so it was good to have English TV.
Yeah.
And so sometimes, you know, the thing that people always say is like, oh, it's fake. These conversations are fake, right? And in some ways that's right, because what will happen is that they will have a conversation and work something out. Like, I watched Gold Rush. It's been a while since I watched Gold Rush, but I have watched Gold Rush. And what they'll do is they'll have a conversation that doesn't get caught on camera, and they're like, okay, yeah, let's make this decision. We'll do this. And then the producers come over and be like, whoa. You guys decided that? And they're like, yeah. And then they go, can you like recreate that so we can film it so that like when we put it in the show?
Yeah.
And then they just like have the conversation really quickly on camera and then go do the thing. Right. And so like that's the actual thing that happens that makes people like look at reality TV and then go like, this is fake. That's a fake. They're not being real. No emotion there. Blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, it's because like the producers have to like make the story work. And if you skip over that conversation, and they're not actors, you can't just be like, no, like, can we bring out the emotion of how you really felt when you decided we're going to move the wash plant. Like, it's not going to happen. They're just people. So, yeah, I don't know. So there is some possibility that that's what is going on here now that I'm thinking about it. But I'd like to keep the illusion and imagine that they were just on camera talking about getting the advice. And Changbin was just like, yeah, no, like, just yell like you're talking to someone a kilometer away. And then they just practice it a couple of times. And suddenly he does the rap from Elevator, and it sounds great. And then I was like, it worked. I can't believe it worked. What's happening? It's working. Yeah. It's working. And yeah, so he got it to work, and hey, problem solved. Apparently, all the issues with his rap are a thing of the past now. Yeah. We'll see. Well, I got one more episode, you know. He's had the same criticism. We get a little segment with Jongin next. So cute. What a cutie. He has a moment with his teacher too, and just gets nothing but praise. His tone is good, everything is good, and like all of this like positive reinforcement has really increased his confidence, which I think was his major problem. Yeah. And so he's just gotten over it, and so now he just sounds great all the time. I don't know. Yeah. Beautiful. He calls his parents. Yeah. He's talking to his parents on the phone. They're worried if he's eating enough, you know. Mm-hmm. Gotta make sure he's eating enough. Or when he talks to his dad's like, so are you eating enough? And he's like, yeah. And his dad's like, do you have enough money? Like, Dad, say other words.
I mean, still valid concerns from a father.
No, totally. Yeah. It is pretty funny. And it was funny that I think when he was talking to his mom, she said she was watching the show or whatever, and when he got criticized, they were super defensive of him. But then also when he made mistakes, they were like, hey, he's better than that. He doesn't do why is he messing up so bad? And of course he's like embarrassed because they're calling him out. But like when we started, you know, they had a couple of moments where they called him a real Busan man. And I was like, what? He's a man from Busan, but I don't understand the reference, really. Mm-hmm. And the idea is that, like, a man from Busan or people from Busan are just, like, they're very kind and inviting, but very, like, harsh and direct with their words. Like, they're going to tell you how it is. Mm-hmm. And that's like their deal. And then like we get to this episode, finally in episode 9, he talks to his parents, and you really see that like, nah, they're not gonna mince words. They're gonna tell him how it is whenever it is. So it's really funny. Yeah. Pretty great. And so our next scene is when we get the 2 members of GOT7 coming into the practice room to check him out. Yeah. They sat down together. There was a few like weird moments in here, I thought. So it's what JB and Jin Young from GOT7, who are no longer together, by the way. That's not really spoilers for anything. Yeah.
They just, like GOT7's not a group.
GOT7's not a group anymore. They got to like the end of their contract, and because they have limited contracts, and I think that that some of the members just kind of wanted to do different things. They want to do like different styles of music and stuff. And one of the I don't remember, was a member who had previously worked for JYP from a girl group, and I don't remember which girl group, had been working with this other like small label as a solo artist, and so she kind of coaxed over Bam Bam, and I think he actually just recently had his debut on that label. So like they're doing fine. Yeah, they're doing great, and Bam Bam got out of there and is doing good. So yeah, good for him.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. But they came, and they're going to give some heartfelt advice. I don't know what the average time for, maybe this is going to be a question corner, like how long, obviously contracts are a few years or whatever, but how long does a boy group typically stay together? Like, does it depend on their success? Like, if they're not successful, do they break up? Or,
right.
I don't know, because like one of these girl groups that Michelle really likes is this group called IOI, and the idea of it was like they did like a survival show where they had trainees from like a ton of different agencies come together and do a giant survival show to put together like a super group, the best trainees from all these different agencies, and they're gonna make this giant super group. And what it ended up making was like I think they had some modest success, but really the only song that we listened to by them was written by JYP.
Okay.
Even though they were not his trainees, right? So he just wrote a song. He's like a good producer. And so he produced a really good hit song. I think it's their top song on like iTunes and stuff too. And then they broke up after 6 months because they were all under contract with a bunch of different agencies. So like, I don't know, like, how do you square that? So I don't know. So,
right.
But I don't think that's the general rule. I think that's the exception. But interesting to learn about, since that is a thing that happens and has happened.
Right.
So they kind of like ask about like how the group gets along. They wanted to know, like, does anybody have any arguments, or is everything pretty calm? And Hyunjin said that, like, no, everything's okay, even if there's arguments, like we get over it pretty quickly. And JB was like, don't hit him in the face. If you're in an argument, you got to hit him in the body. Like, you get body shots only. It's like, it says like jokingly, and I'm like, is it joking? Sure. Okay, JB. Now we know why GOT7 broke up.
Yeah.
There's like an awkward moment where they talk about, like, at some point Hyunjin had said that Jin Young was his like ideal mentor, that he like idolized him.
Yeah.
And he's sitting right next to him, and he gets suddenly super nervous and turns into ice.
Yeah.
They literally do a little graphic, and then of course Jin Young takes his hand and holds his hand, which does not, and I love it actually, because like I'm gonna clip this. Like I don't know if you ever like go and look at Twitter at all, but in our Twitter, whenever I post about our new episodes, I try to grab like a screenshot from the episodes.
Oh, okay.
So that like I have like a screenshot that like represents the actual the episode that we watched.
Right.
And I love these moments where Hyunjin has like the awkward smile. I think I pointed it out when we were watching like one of the first episodes. This like weird awkward smile where he's like, where it's like, he doesn't look happy. He just like creates like a square mouth, and he's just like, oh
yeah.
So anyway, it's really funny. Yeah. So it's awkward, and he's trying to, be nice and boastful or whatever.
Right. Still like just an adorable moment, because you imagine being in that situation where you're like, especially because they're famous, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, they are definitely famous at this point.
And you're just sitting there and you're like, oh my God, this person's holding my hand.
Yeah, it'd be if Ryan Reynolds was sitting next to you and was like, I'm gonna hold your hand.
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds, cool guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they move on and they want to see how they perform. So they ask them to do a couple of their songs, and they start by performing "Ya Ya Ya" with 7 members.
Mm-hmm.
And they made a couple of mistakes, but nothing big. They really showed that they
Oh, you know what? Speaking of the "Ya Ya Ya" thing, like as they practiced it, and Changbin has to take over from Felix's dance position on that, and has to like do the hoverboard as they call it, where he's balancing on the like.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we called this out on the watch together, right? Where maybe the reason that Felix had trouble with it during the busking performance was that they seemed to be a little too far spread to make that maneuver like
staple.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe it wasn't Felix's fault.
Yeah, maybe it wasn't Felix's fault. Although, I mean, like, I can't imagine they would have gone ahead with that being the move if he wasn't able to land it frequently in practice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So, like, we didn't really get to see it, but there's some chance that when they were practicing for the busking show that Felix was just nailing it every time. And they were like, this is fine. Like,
right.
So, yeah, I don't know. But he did it. Yeah, Changbin did do well at it. Honestly, it surprises me in a way because, like, this was the perfected version of it, right? We only saw a mess up from Felix, but, like, when Felix got up the second time, and he seemed like really unsteady with his like body movement as he kind of like wiggled around, but that's actually the choreography. Like that's how it was supposed to look. And I was like, oh, right. That's how it was supposed to look. Okay, sorry, Felix. The second time when you got up, you actually did it right. My bad.
Yeah.
Like I thought he was just still unsteady when he got up the second time during the busking show. And I was like, oh man, really bad. But that's how they intended it to look, apparently. I don't know. It's just
because he's on a hoverboard.
I guess so. He's hovering. Yeah. Maybe that's why they call it the hoverboard. But they did good, and they got some like fair criticism of it, and then they moved on to their new song, the second to last new song in this show. We're so close to the end. It's kind of crazy. I don't know. But here we are. The criticism that he had for them, I actually did like because I had noticed it this time around. And that's that, like, sometimes when they finish and they stop after a performance ends,
they appear very tired.
They appear very tired,
yeah.
And will like fidget or make faces or whatever.
Yeah,
so like whoo. And I remember that Chan had called it out earlier, trying to tell people like to take it seriously because he figured that they were just like goofing off in the practice room, right? Because that's kind of the atmosphere, right? Okay, but it is interesting that like as a habit, it seems to have carried over, and so I'm glad that they pointed it out.
Right.
So the new song is called "Young Wings." And it's all about, being in that period between being young and being an adult, because Changbin is 19, and in South Korea, you become a man at 20.
Yeah.
And so it was like very much about that feeling of kind of like unsteadiness and excitement of becoming an adult. So
right,
anxiety and fear that teens can sympathize with. That's what the kind of meaning is. We only got to hear a little bit of it. They did a good job of like teasing it out by not really letting you see it performed. But so far, they made a bunch of mistakes. That kind of makes sense. Especially when we look later, because they haven't been practicing it for very long. What did you think of their performance?
Well, it's not. They didn't show us too much, but it seemed good. I'm looking forward to seeing like the full performance and hearing a new song. Obviously,
yeah. Obviously, both of the new songs will get performed in full in the final episode because there's only one left. So.
Yeah.
It's gonna be good.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think they did good. They were pretty harshly criticized, but that makes sense. It's early yet in the choreography for this one, and I think that that their criticism was fair and will help them. So.
Right. Yeah. And also, like, that's fine to have that type of criticism, especially
before
from
performing.
Yeah. Before the performance, and just from other people who have been in their shoes, and they're not like, they're not just bullshitting, you know, they're not just being like, oh yeah, it looks good. You know,
right.
They're giving them real criticism and allowing them to improve before they go put it not only in front of JYP but in front of like everyone.
Yeah.
So
yep, that's right. So then they bring in they go to record the song, "Young Wings." Keep saying it like that because on the album when they release it, now as I've known it, it's actually called "Spread Your Wings," which I think makes a little bit more sense.
Okay.
Kind of gives you the sense of like what the song's about before, because "Young Wings," I don't know what that's supposed to mean. And like maybe they just changed it because it's like a worldwide release kind of thing. Like it's on Apple Music and everything. So
sure.
They just wanted to have a different name for it. The other song that they have not released yet or shown anything about also has a different name on the album. So
okay. Interesting.
Yep. So they meet producer One Take, and they start recording the new song. The room is full of people, and he likes their song. Obviously, it was made by them, but like you know, they still have a recording producer and everything to help them get it right. So
yeah,
yeah. So who goes first? Let's see. It's Jongin. Jongin goes first. He's super cute, and everybody loves how well he's singing and the emotion he's singing with, and they think that like the concept of the song really like fits him because he's so young.
Yeah.
So the idea of being in that state of being between young and adult really fits with him.
Yeah, for sure.
He did great. I mean, I feel like that's gonna be my opinion of everyone during this recording sesh. So. You know.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this is them in peak performance and they're doing very well.
Yeah. I mean, so. I get the sense that like you know, it's as we discussed like really early on in the survival show, like it is part reality show and part promotion for the group, right? So if they debut after this, they don't want their final episodes to be like,
look at how shit they are.
I don't think they're doing very well. They kind of suck now. Like
right.
no,
yeah,
like
yeah.
they're gonna be they're now at the point of like they're now at the point of really like getting to seeing them performing well, and they want them to perform well. They have Jisung doing the killing part where he whispers. And everybody freaks out because it's so cringy for them because he's like their brother, and hearing him try to be like sultry whispering, they're just like, no.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good part though.
It's a good part. I can't wait to hear it all put together.
Yeah.
Again, I mean, you know, I luckily have the ability to just go listen to it right now.
Oh yeah, and I'm so happy for you.
Yeah, it's great. Don't worry. Oh, and you know what? I haven't got the mail yet today, but I need to because I have 2 more Stray Kids albums waiting for me in there.
Oh Lord.
That's right. It's gonna be good. So while the recording is continuing, Hyunjin starts getting nervous. You know, he's nervous about his rap, so he starts practicing, and Changbin switches places with IN to kind of like help like coach him through it a little bit. Get your finger out of your mouth, and you know,
yeah,
they work on it a little bit. And One Take obviously is like he's the producer, but he's good with the vocals, but with rap, like he's like, does somebody else want to do the producing?
Yeah.
So he brings in. I thought it seemed like from the way everybody was getting up and the fact that they just showed like Changbin like helping him out. I thought, okay, yeah, Changbin's gonna get up. He's gonna do the producing for this.
But nope.
He does get up, but no, Jisung does.
Yeah,
and I'm like, oh,
that's interesting.
Okay. That is interesting. I'm not sure if there's any like specific reasoning behind that or Yeah, I mean, like, clearly, like, Changbin is still there and giving feedback or whatever, but, like, he does great. I thought he did really well. He only gets one bit of feedback. He has to do, like, a second take, but it's just to get, like, the inflection on a specific word sounding right. And then after that, it's good. Like, they did good. So, no problems here. Yeah, I think Hyunjin's doing well. So we move on, and Woojin gets to sing, and he brings in his giant cup of water. And he does so well, but just continually says that he wants to have another take. He wants to get the emotion right. You know, he's it's not quite right for me. I need another take. He just keeps asking for it, even though he's doing fine. He sounds great. Like, there's no real reason for it. So, you know, it's fine. He's just nervous because of his criticism, right?
Yeah.
Finally gets his part done. And then one take is kind of like talking to them about how the recording has gone. And then suddenly mysterious people pop into the recording booth. What's happening?
But we don't get to explore that immediately. We get to travel back in time 1 week to a meeting with JYP and the two mystery guests, which obviously...
Yes, it turns out it's Felix and Minho, the eliminated members! Oh, shit! They're back? What?
Yeah.
How shocked were you?
Very. I mean, yeah, extremely. Because... I mean, it's exciting, right? That they get another shot, but also I was just thinking the whole time. I'm just thinking, well, this ruins all the work they just put into making a 7-person choreography.
Right?
Know?
Yeah.
But it's good, you know, and they explained that away pretty.
Yeah, they explain it away that they're actually gonna do 2 performances at the live show, which is probably why it's an hour and a half long episode. But they're going to do 2 performances. They're going to do one as 7 and one as 9.
Yeah.
JYP basically says that, like, in the first episode, when he decided to go ahead with the boy group and say, this is going to be the group that debuts for us, he kind of looked at it and thought that they have some kind of, like, unique energy. And that was visible, I think. Mm-hmm. And that ever since they started cutting people, it's been cutting that energy out.
Right.
Like, they don't seem as cohesive. And so he wants to do it as a test and just see, and kind of get the audience sense of it and have the audience vote. Like, what do you think was better? Right. And then JYP will ultimately make the decision of, like, did he make a mistake early on of eliminating these members, or was it right? And it's better to have, you know, the more experienced members move forward as a group and just leave the other 2 behind. So we won't find that out until next episode, which will be a long one. So we got to make sure that
buckle up.
You've got some rest. We want to have a nap. We want to not be overworked, because that is going to be a long one. Oh my God.
Maybe we'll do, we'll watch it and then record it on separate days.
Yeah, that may help. Faux show.
Yeah.
One of the things, the recording session is going to be really long. So I think you're right. That's a good idea, because I do think it's a good idea to unbox our copies of Mixtape.
Oh, okay.
On that episode.
On that episode? Yeah, gotcha. Okay. Yeah,
at the end of that episode.
Can do, for sure.
Yeah. So that'll be fun and exciting. So
yeah.
So JYP gives them some advice. He says that he's heard that they've been working hard, and I imagine that when he says that, like, it's not like he's been checking up on them. It's like they've been working with their coaches and making some progress. So we don't know by the end of this episode, we don't actually get to see them do their recording. We mostly just jump back in time and see when the group was told was like when JYP was there to give them their final mission. And it was like when they were working on the 7-member recreation of Yeah. And so that means that, like, when they performed for GOT7, they knew they were going to have a 9-member show too. Like, they just didn't show it. So, and then they Jisung was the first one to run over and give them hugs. Of course. He's clearly the most emotional member. He loves them and ran over to Felix immediately and gave him a big hug. So everybody was super excited. It was interesting. They pointed out, in like the overlay that like Chan was excited but kind of hung back and like let everybody kind of enjoy the moment.
Yeah.
And I wonder if it's like he's the leader. He's finally seeing all the kids back together again, and he's feeling like, I'm gonna make this work. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna make sure that we make it. Like, he's gonna work his ass off, and I don't think he's gonna slack because on like this, it's not. I don't think he would sabotage the 7-member group to make it so that 9 could go forward. That's not his style.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean they have to pull it off. Like, it's the only way that is gonna happen. So. Yep, so they all do a giant Stray Kids fighting little high five. They called it a high five. It's not a high five. That's not what a high five is. They just like put their hands in the middle and they were like, Stray Kids fighting.
Yeah.
And then that was the end of it. So they want to show how much they've improved in the time that they've been away from the other members, and they are in the recording area for the new song, but they don't show them record it. They immediately start cutting into the preview for the next episode, and that's where we stopped it.
Yep.
Man, I'm excited.
Oh yeah.
How you feeling?
Yeah. I mean, I'm right there with you. I if it weren't 11 p.m., I would say let's get into it.
Yeah. Right.
But
it's only 11 p.m. some places. Not 11 p.m. here.
Well,
yeah.
I also have to be up in like 5 hours, so there's that too.
Did you do your homework? I'm curious.
My homework?
Yeah, I sent you 3 music videos to watch.
I thought we were gonna watch those together, but
I thought. Okay, well, I thought that you had said that you wanted to just kind of watch them in your own time and not watch them together. But
did I say that? Maybe what I meant was not yet, like not at that time when we.
You're right. Well, it was too late then.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, I was curious to get your thoughts on those, but that's okay. You don't have to have your thoughts on those.
Yeah, we'll get into it next episode
someday. Yeah, we'll have plenty of time in the next episode to do it. Yeah, in the hour and a half long episode, we're gonna have plenty of time.
Totally.
All right. Well, thanks for listening along with us, everybody, and thanks for listening to the episode. And we'll see you again on the next episode, and it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be so long. Oh my god, this journey through the Stray Kids survival show is almost over. I can't believe it.
Yeah, it's been great. All right, well,
bye. I don't know, man. I'm so tired. Bye.